Y'all, the Tortured Poets department comes out in literally 3 days. I am not okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to Tea with Bree. And if you're new here, an extra special welcome. This is the place where we girly goss, we get cozy, we drink our tea, we talk about things that don't matter but that really do matter. Do you know what I mean? So join us. We'd love to have you. Today's kind of unique, right? Because the Tortured Poets department, Taylor Swift's 11th studio album, can I get the applause? Comes out on Friday. I mean, it comes out on Thursday night if you're me. And y'all, shit is going down. It's like we've got these playlists that Taylor released. We've got billboards going up in Chicago with QR codes. We've got Spotify putting up fake library immersive experiences in LA. Like, we haven't got a single yet, but we've got a lot of other stuff going on, and I'm pumped. Like, I'm feeling the pre-album release jitters, like I'm feeling all the things. And today we're gonna talk about them. We're gonna go over everything we know about Tortured Poets department so far. We're gonna pick our faves. We're gonna goss a little bit. It's gonna be great. And the tea of the day is a jasmine blossom honey. Delicious. I also let it get ice cold, so a little less delicious than it would have been. Some new info that we found out. We now know the Tortured Poets department track lengths, and we know the writers on each song. The album is an hour and 5 minutes long. Thank you, Lord, for a long album. Long have I waited. And 50% of the songs are over 4 minutes long. Blessed, 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 blessed. I feel like the trend that pop music has been taking lately is definitely more extremely short songs. Like, I'm thinking about Tate McRae's last album. Most of the songs are like 2 minutes, you know what I mean? And to have an album where 50% of the songs are over 4 minutes is just chef's kiss. Like, we're gonna eat and we're gonna be full afterwards. We also learned about the writers that are gonna be on each track. So Taylor herself has written alone 2 songs on the album. My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys. Ow. And Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. The rest of the songs are all Taylor plus co-writers. So her co-writers are Post Malone, obviously, for the song that he's on, and then we have the rest are all Aaron Dessner or Jack Antonoff, are co-writers on the song. And y'all, if you know anything about Aaron Dessner written and produced songs, let's get into it right now. Some of my favorite songs are the songs that he's been on. Tolerate It, Rip My Heart Out into 1,000 Pieces and Smash It, 'Tis the Damn Season, Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda with one of the absolute god tier bridges of all time, Mad Woman, The Great War, Peace. I mean, I could go on and on. He's just, the combination of him and Taylor working together truly produces some just absolutely next level work. I'm afraid because he's on, what track is it? Track 5, y'all. He's on track 5, So Long London. And basically, now that I know like who's on each song and how long they are, song lengths I'll drop over here. As you can see, we have some pretty long girls on this album. Like But Daddy I Love Him, over 5 minutes. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, over 5 minutes. Like, having a lot of longer songs on the album, to me, feels like those songs are just gonna be a lot more personal and revealing, and probably were a lot more cathartic to write. I think about 1989, which was such a tight album, such a like crisp, clean, no words wasted pop album. And again, you see song lengths that are varying, but they're very much sticking to that like pop script. When you see songs that are 5 minutes and 40 seconds called But Daddy I Love Him, I mean, be prepared to be completely destroyed. Shrapnel everywhere. Joe Alwyn's name burned from the history books starting April 19th, and I'm sorry, but what else can I conjecture based on these song lengths? And you look over here, you can see who is a co-writer. I'm guessing with Jack and Aaron, it also means they like produce the songs. That's how a lot of producers work. Baby girl, I'm nervous. So based on all of this, I thought it would be fun to just like go back through, and now that the album's coming out so soon, like reclaim our faves. I'm desperate and dying to know, what are your faves? What do you think is going to be the song that rips our heart out? What is going to be the banger of the century? And is there going to be bangers on this album? Thoughts below, please. Also, what's the sleeper hit? Because I feel like overall, I think this album is going to be a lot more nuanced from Taylor. I think it's going to put songs like You're Losing Me into this entirely new context for fans to understand like what she was really going through for so much of this relationship, which I mean, I think it's a bit silly to think it's not a very Joe Alwyn focused album. I still think that, but I also think it's going to be a lot of commentary overall on her life and stardom and the kind of people that she's dated and this kind of like tortured poets theme, of which I think she's probably including herself in that. So all that to say, I think it's going to be very complex. I don't think the Joe Alwyn diss track songs, which obviously I think there are going to be some, are going to be just like, oh, Joe's such a bad person, like he just did me so wrong, blah, blah, blah. I think it's going to be much more nuanced, much more complex than that. I think she's going to be diving into the different ways that people let each other down and the different ways that relationships break and the different ways you try to save them and how you try to bargain your way out of what feels like the inevitable breakup, you know what I mean? Things that are very relatable, but also very hyper specific, which is the kinds of songwriting I love from Taylor Swift. Thank you, Queen. So again, my picks for like slightly more bangers on the album. This may be a more folk Livermore kind of album where the bangers are a little bit more low key, but still my banger choices are, feels weird to keep saying that, but my banger choices are Fresh Out the Slammer, for sure. I mean, Jack's on the song, and I think the Jack songs definitely have the potential to be a little more, you know, upbeat, a little more poppy. I also think Florida is really gonna hit. Something about Florida with 3 exclamation marks does it for me in my soul, and there's something about it that's frightening but also exciting. I also think Down Bad and Guilty as Sin, I'm getting more like Delicate vibes from those. I think it's gonna be like, I think Delicate was a track 4 also. Or was it a track 5? Y'all, that's embarrassing that I don't know that. Scrub that from the record. Either way, I think those songs are going to be more delicate vibes, like a little bit darker, a little bit sexier, a little bit more mysterious, but also kind of, you know, hits in their own right, bangers in their own right. Okay, so for my sleeper hits, and when I say sleeper hits, y'all, this is a Taylor Swift album. Every single song is a hit. We know the drill. However, sleeper hits as in like, they're a little bit more unexpected. They're not maybe the initial stars of the show, but like they are going to catch on. It's kind of like what happened with Cruel Summer. Cruel Summer should have never been a sleeper hit. That's mind-boggling to me. However, you get what I'm saying. I think LOML, Love of My Life, Loss of My Life, Lobster of My Life, who could say? I think that one is going to surprise us. I also think I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can. I think there's going to be something there. Quote me on that one. Actually, quote me if it's good. If we don't love it, then don't quote me. And obviously, I think the songs that are going to rip our hearts out and smash them into a quadrillion million pieces are going to be So Long London, 1000% track 5 and Aaron Dessner. I think I've said enough. I also think But Daddy I Love Him. It is 5 minutes and 40 seconds, people. I think it is going to be 5 minutes and 40 seconds of pain for us. Tears, distraughtness, and destruction. Also, I'm very afraid of Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. I am afraid of Little Old You, Taylor, because you wrote the song alone. It's feeling uber personal. It's a very long song. I'm just like, I'm worried. I'm worried for that one. I'm definitely gonna have like many boxes of tissues out when I listen to this album. Also, I would be remiss if I did not talk about or touch on the playlist that Taylor released. I was initially really excited because I thought the playlists were gonna have like songs that she just listened to or songs that were like inspirational for TTPD, but it was not that. It was all her own music. Still interesting, but to me, not as interesting as if she had released like the other kind of music that like she listens to or that inspired parts of the new album. However, I think she definitely played on the fan theory. I think I read it somewhere that she kind of played on the 5 stages of grief that the fans had been talking about for a long time. And I kind of wrote those people off as clowns initially, but then I think she was just like, actually, y'all are just my interns and you're just doing the work for me. Respect to an efficient woman. So anyway, she put together these 5 different playlists that kind of go through the 5 stages of grief. It's all her own music and it is very interesting and a little bit petty of her, some of the song choices, and I'm gonna briefly go through it. So the first playlist was Denial, which went along with the I Love You, It's Ruining My Life kind of album art. So let me just read to y'all. She says, this is a list of songs about getting so caught up in the idea of something that you have a hard time seeing the red flags, possibly resulting in moments of denial and maybe a little bit of delusion. Okay, girl. I'm not gonna list all the songs that were on it. I'll try and put them over here, but some are very much sticking out to me. Lavender Haze, for example. I mean, when I first heard that song on Midnights, I was like, something about it is giving someone who doesn't really, like a partner who doesn't really get it. Because the lyrics are like, staring at the ceiling with you, you don't ever say too much. And you don't really read into my melancholia, which could be construed as positive, like, oh, you're not really reading into my sadness, or also like, you don't really get me. You're not really understanding that like, I'm actually staring at you with storms in my eyes and I'm actually pissed off AF. R.I.P. Joe Allen, I'll say it now and I'll say it again, R.I.P. to the man. Also Snow on the Beach, which is very much like this like lovey-dovey, sad but song. It's like very lovey-dovey, but like Denial. She just was basically saying that she was like in denial when she was writing that song. The craziest admission to this list though, the craziest admission is Lover. I mean, to take a song that so many people have like played at their weddings and then be like, actually the song was just me ignoring a bunch of red flags and I was actually just in complete denial is so petty to me. I mean, I love it. I love that all of Lover is just stuck all over these grief playlists. It's crazy behavior, and this is why I like Taylor Swift, because she is petty. I mean, y'all, she is. And I think as a human and as a woman, I relate to that desire to be really petty and put a super, super love song that you wrote for your ex and now put it in a category called denial. Excellent. If I had to pick songs from the new album and put them into these different categories of grief playlists, these are the songs from the new album that I would put in, I think, Fortnight. I think we're starting out the album in a little bit of denial. It's like the relationship's maybe not fully over. It's kind of like in this weird intermittent place. And I think it's gonna be a denial kind of song. I also think Down Bad is a denial song. I think But Daddy I Love Him, I mean, that one's obvious from the title, right? Denial. And I also think I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can. Those are our denial songs from TTPD. Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, but none of us will know till Friday, so. Okay, so the next playlist that she made is Anger, and it's going along with the album art that said, you don't get to tell me about sad. So there's not a lot of Joe songs in the Anger section, which I found interesting. I think if I had to categorize, like there wasn't any songs that stuck out to me as like really crazy or like, wow, like the Lover kind of thing. So there's nothing to really talk about individually there for me anyway. But the song from the new album that I would put in Anger, I think, is My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys. You tell me she's not pissed that her boy only breaks his favorite toys? Girl, I think she's pissed. I think Fresh Out the Slammer is giving freedom. It's giving I'm alive and I'm single. And it's also giving like I'm now mad. I'm now categorizing a relationship as a jail cell. And that gives Angry Woman to me, gives Mad Woman. Love that song. Also The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. I think that song will be sad. There might be a little hint of depression in there also, but I think a lot of anger in The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. When you start calling your ex the smallest man who ever lived, it's either he really is the smallest man who ever lived and that's respect and props to him, or he's like figuratively the smallest man and that probably means he has a small too. Do you know what I'm saying? I didn't say it, you did. You said it. The next one she did is Bargaining, which is Am I Allowed to Cry? This is very heartbreaking to me, this playlist. You'll see it here. Things that stood out to me, The Great War, because I really like that song. I think I might be more unique in that way, but I always really liked The Great War. And I always thought it was about, okay, we had this terrible fight, we had this terrible falling out, but like we survived and like we made it through. And now it's like, things are more positive now. But seeing it in Bargaining just throws that song to me in an entirely different light. It was over, you know, like she knew that things weren't going well, but she was like, so desperate still to save the relationship, and if that's not bargaining, I don't know what is. So that made me sad. Also, Cornelia Street is in Bargaining. Y'all, she is just taking Lover, like I said, and she's just burning his name from the history books. She is just rewriting that entire album. Instead of Lover, she's just cutting off the L and just making that album called Over. Joe Alwyn is Over Party. That's what she's making it. We also get Peace on this, which Peace is a very heartbreaking song to me. And it makes sense that it's in bargaining to me, but I just wanted to highlight it because I love this song and I always thought it was about Joe, and now I feel a little more secure that it is. What song from the new album would I put on bargaining? Probably Am I Allowed to Cry? Probably Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? I think that feels like a song that's very personal, that's very much, what am I really gonna do besides ruin your entire life and write an album about it? Next is Depression with Old Habits Die Screaming, which I love that line. It feels so poetic to me. I mean, obviously, the name of the album, right? I know, y'all, but it just has a little je ne sais quoi, do you know what I mean? It just has a little something to it. For this, I had some surprises. You're Losing Me, obviously, that is an extremely sad song. However, it just throws things into light, right? Because she wrote that in December 2021, so per Jack Antonoff on his Instagram story all the way back when. And it's like, it's just sad to think that she was already in the depression stage then, and they didn't really end their relationship for a while, you know, after that. So that sucks, girly. That just sucks. The songs from the new album that I think will be in depression, I mean, honestly, I think there might be a hint of depression in all of them if I'm being honest with you. However, these would be my main picks. Florida, 3 exclamation parts. I think that it might touch on the Florida shows that she did when she was like very, very emotional. And yeah, I think it's gonna be an upbeat song, but I think it's gonna give depression. Also, Guilty as Sin. I don't know if that's about him being guilty or her being guilty or just some crazy third party being guilty. However, I feel sad about it. I feel sad about it. LOML, Lobster of My Life, sad. It's obviously about the marine crisis facing us with overfishing in the sea. So hats off to Taylor. She's our Earth Day goddess, you know, always advocating for the marine life. Also, I think The Alchemy is going to be something about that. Her referring to Joe as gold all the time, their love is gold, and something about the alchemy and metals transforming. It's just giving R.I.P. Joe Alwyn. And also, I didn't include any of the like extra songs that are coming in on the extra different versions of the vinyls because like I literally can't process all of those because it's just like so many different versions. So I'm just like omitting those for my own purposes. However, those are complete wild cards to me. I have no idea what those are going to be about. Okay, and last but not least, for the playlist that she made, we have Acceptance, the Last Stage of Grief, and the subtitle was I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. Heartbreaking, honey. I was a little bamboozled by some of the selections on Acceptance that she put over here. I mean, songs like Midnight Rain definitely make sense to me, but I always thought, people were trying to say that it wasn't, but I always thought Midnight Rain was giving Joe, kind of. I think there's part of the songwriting on Midnights that she was like, it's 13 midnights throughout my life or whatever. But that was like a very specific midnight when you were still with Joe Alwyn, I think, and kind of being like, is this ever gonna work? And it's giving no. You're on Your Own, Kid. I mean, heartbreaking. I mean, obviously on Acceptance, like that just tracks. Invisible String. Invisible String. But it's like an invisible string. She's like, there's an invisible string tying you to me, but it seems like that song now is thrown more into like, I kind of accepted, I already knew it was over. I already knew this wasn't going anywhere. Or I already was done grieving you. And I'm kind of like, whoa. That's not what I thought Invisible String was about, but extremely interesting nonetheless to have her perspective on a lot of these songs. So from the new album, what's going into Acceptance? I think the Tortured Poets Department. I think that song's gonna be reflective about the men that she's dated, about her own habits to be tortured, about love in general. So I think that's going to be an acceptance song about accepting the way things are. I think I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. Obviously, I mean, it's the subtitle of the list. I also think Clairbow. I think Clairbow's like, there's so many parallels between Clairbow and Taylor, but I think it's also accepting that like fame kind of ruined this bee's life. And that's a little bit what happened to her too, and maybe her relationship. I'm filming this on a Tuesday, so there's still a couple days before TTPD releases. I can only imagine what she's gonna release in the meantime. I'm probably gonna miss so much. This video is gonna be outdated in like 2 days because she's gonna like drop a single or something, but I'm just so excited for the album. I'm panicked, I'm afraid, but ultimately I'm ready. All right, see you guys after the album drops.